Welcome back, everyone. As you know, on this channel I share a lot of information about living on the road on a school bus, traveling, adventuring, alternative living. But there's some things that I personally can't share with you. And one of those things is how to live on the road with a family. So today I wanted to share with you my friend the number one bus and how they live in an off-grid tiny house. Let's check it out.
Everyone, I'm Kristen.
I'm Will.
This is Rome.
And this is Rush.
And this is Juan, our bus.
That we found and gutted it and made it our little home.
Come on in, check it out. Okay, so in 2015, we went to California and we rented an SUV and we drove up and down the coast and we lived out of our SUV, and I just fell in love with the idea of selling all of our stuff and living in a van. Will always told me that was crazy and not realistic and that it wouldn't work, and like realistically at the time it wouldn't. We had so much stuff and we both had jobs. We started to realize that all of this stuff,
we don't need all that stuff.
Yeah, we didn't miss it. So we're like, why do we have all this stuff? I continue to tag Will in every van life, bus life, alternative living thing I saw on Instagram. Be like, hey, this could be us. One day Will just came in and was like, hey, why don't we just buy a bus and convert it into a house on wheels? And I was like, okay. I definitely brainwashed you to
Kristen
this.
wanted a tiny house at first, and that just wasn't realistic to buy a truck to pull the tiny house, so this was a great alternative.
This is the compromise between a van and a tiny house.
And it's been everything we've ever wanted, really, to do that.
So when we started designing the bus, we wanted to make sure that we had all the comforts that our house that we were living in at the time, our bus also had. So the kitchen was really important. We didn't want to make any compromises. Yeah, no compromises. So we have a full-size fridge. We have a stove that has an oven and stovetop, and we have a sink where we can do the dishes. We have a table that pulls out if we ever want to sit around like a family and eat. We have plenty of space for dishes and pots and pans and food. So really, our kitchen on the bus doesn't even feel that much smaller than our kitchen that we had when we had a house.
One of my most favorite pieces of the kitchen is our countertops. And our countertops are a piece of home from us. So we grew up in Jacksonville Beach, and while we were building the bus, a hurricane actually came through and destroyed the pier that we used to walk to all the time. So we reclaimed the wood and decided, hey, why don't we make that the countertop in our bus? So that's exactly what we did. And in there you'll see a couple little shark's teeth and stuff hidden. So it's a cool piece that we're bringing home with us along the road. Now moving on, the next thing that we have is the couch. And our couch we designed so that Rome's car seat will normally be clipped in here, and Kristen will sit here, and they've both got lap belts. And then this part actually slides out into a bed. So when we have guests, it's a good place for two people can sit in there. It's comfortable with one, but two can sleep there. And it's a good place for people to come and stay. And this is probably Rush's favorite spot on the bus. So. Rome wasn't originally a part of...
Right, so we had actually kind of just decided that we weren't ever gonna have children, and then...
We were just gonna travel around.
So we were about halfway into our conversion build whenever we found out that Rome was going to be joining our family. And she is the best thing that happened.
And we didn't let it slow us down at all. It was one of those things like, hey, we're just gonna do it together and make this work.
Right,
so,
we never once doubted, can we do this as a family with a baby? There are tons of people living in buses with kids at young ages, old ages, multiple children. So we're like, if they can do it, we can do it. A good sleep place for the baby was really important to me. man, baby sleep, that's some crazy stuff. So Rome is kind of a high maintenance sleeper, so we have to put blackout curtains over her place when she goes to sleep. We have white noise that we put on her iPad, and then sometimes when we're actually plugged in and on the grid, we can run our air conditioning, and that makes some more white noise. And she really likes her room, guys. So the designing of this baby room was actually kind of a challenge. We had this custom mattress made for her for this space, and then when we went to go build the crib, it didn't actually work out, so we found this thing on Amazon, had a seamstress make it fit to this space perfectly. And the setup that we have now is awesome because I don't have to hurt my back putting her in and taking her out and doing all that stuff. And also during the daytime, she can just sit in here sometimes and play with her toys. That was a really important part for living on a bus with a baby, designing the right sleep space for them. This was the funnest part of downsizing. So before we lived on a bus, we both were, I don't know, we collected clothes basically. I had an entire room dedicated as my closet. It was insane. Like, it was as big as our whole bus right now probably, and it was just clothes on clothes on clothes on clothes. And Will had 2 closets of clothes, and we had tons of shoes. And now this is my stuff, Will's stuff, and Rome's stuff in one tiny little closet. So obviously it took a lot of time to downsize, but we would go through every 3 months and like reassess, like, have we worn this? Will we wear this in the next 3 months? If you've ever heard of Project 333, it's a really cool process of how to get rid of all of your clothes. So we would do that every 3 months, and we ended up with this. So it's great, and the crazy thing is I have the least amount of clothes that I've ever had in my life, but I never don't know what to wear because everything I own I actually like and want to wear, and I know that it fits me correctly. So highly recommend downsizing your closet. It will make life much easier.
So far, our travels living on a bus with a kid and a dog have been awesome. There's a big learning curve at the beginning, more with the dog than the baby, because the dog's got a lot of restrictions, but we work together and we try to do stuff as a family. That's the plan. So if one of us can't go, we try to just avoid that in general.
And obviously, like, there are challenges when it comes to raising a baby in a bus, but there's challenges when you raise a baby in a house too. So we figured, why not just do it this way?
And if you think about the stuff she's been exposed to, compared to most babies her age, I mean, she's gone to over 15 states already within 6 months, 2 countries, and kind of just...
Not even a year old yet. I think that it's been great. We've... Wait.
True life, we live on a bus.
Yeah, so babies do this no matter where they live. Really, there's not that much of a difference, except for that she gets to live in all these different places and see all these different things and experience the world. So, yeah.
It's been cool to watch her grow up on the bus.
Whenever you are designing a tiny house on wheels, it's really important to make the most of every square foot. So Will has an office back there, but we both work full-time, and so I needed my own space, and it just so happened that there's a really comfortable seat up here, and we thought, why don't we just put something over top of this, and so I can sit here and get all my work done. And honestly, I have the best office in the bus, in my opinion, because I have this great view, lots of lighting and lots of space. And plus it's far away from Rome's bed, so when she's napping, I can be up here on calls or typing or doing whatever I need to do.
This is my work area. So on the road, what I do for work is video production mainly. I own a creative company that kind of touches in a little different areas, but mainly video production is my focus. So it's huge for me to have 2 monitors. This is actually a secondary monitor, and my computer normally sits right here. So being able to do that and still being on the road is a big piece of my business and be able to do it efficiently as well. So working on the road with a family was a little challenging at first, but you kind of figure it out. It's nice because Rome's crib's right here, so she's actually a fun person to work with because she'll just come smash her face up against the netting on her crib and kind of hang out with me while I work, and it's a good daily motivator. So in order to do this, when we built the bus, we wanted to be off-grid. We didn't want to be going to campsites every day and working on a daily basis. So we have 500 watts of solar on the roof, and that is enough to power all of our equipment, from our laptops to our computers to different charging. I got all this camera equipment, so it all has to be charged, and it is not an issue for us to stay off grid. For example, we're just in Nova Scotia and we're off grid for 20 days working off grid. So being able to do that and work full time and do it not plugged into anything, I mean, that was the ultimate goal. So moving on to the bathroom, we still wanted to be able to live off grid in this. So a composting toilet was a huge piece because we didn't want to sit there and dump our black water all the time. So having the Nature's Head composting toilet was a must, and we also wanted it to be like a wet bath. So we have the shower right here, and then we just have the sliding barn door, which works out great. And Rush can actually get a bath in here, Rome can get a bath in here, we can take quick showers, and it really is served what we needed to do. So technically people say this is where the magic happens, which this is the spot, but we designed our bus to have the bed going horizontal, and which seems like a great idea when you're just building it. But if I could go back in time, I would actually make it a vertical bed like this, because I have to crawl over Kristen all the time since she sleeps right here because she feeds Rome at night, and I have to crawl over all the time. So that's kind of, if I need to go to the bathroom, it's a little hard. So in the future, anybody out there making buses, I highly recommend as a couple to do the bed long ways.
Before you move on to a bus as a family, make sure that you are really comfortable with your partner and that you really enjoy being around them, because you guys are going to be around each other a lot and on top of each other. Like, me and Will had lived together for 4 years before we had a baby and then moved on to a bus, so we're really comfortable with being around each other. But
and we work from home previously before that, so we're around each other all day long as well before we moved on to a bus. And we sat down and kind of made sure we were on the same page of what we wanted to do before we moved on the bus, so that we didn't have different expectations, you know, as we travel.
It's hard to be married, it's hard to have a baby, and then you throw it all into less than 200 square feet, and there's going to be challenges and difficulties, and you're going to bump heads, but also you're going to get to experience things that you would never have an opportunity to do unless you decided to actually make the jump and live this kind of lifestyle.
Well, a common question that we get is, how do we get our own personal time living in such a small space? And really, it's a small space, but we're really not on top of each other, but we do like to do our own thing. So Kristen, for example, every once in a while she'll get out and do some yoga. Yoga is a big relief thing for her. And mine's skateboarding. So funny enough, I actually welded a bracket that slides out on the side of the bus to skate the bus, but that's a good way for us to get out and kind of just do our own thing for ourselves. Now stepping to the outside of the bus, we got a short bus. So it was originally 28 feet and we extended the bumper 3 feet, so now it's 31 feet. We'll get back there in a second, but this was a 5.9 Cummins with an Allison 545 transmission, and it's geared 430, so it climbs. But this was the original Air Force Blue of the bus, and we just had to touch up a couple spots, but it's been a great bus. It has no rust and is in overall great shape. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a big skateboarder, so I welded this bracket on around the side of the bus, and it actually slides out. And it's a bench as well, but it's also a spot that I can skate when we're in different places, say like the Blue Ridge Mountains or like in Key West. So that was a cool little piece I added onto the bus that's, you know, customizing it to what we like to do. Now coming onto the back area, this is where our propane is. So I have 16.5 gallons of propane in here, and that typically lasts us off grid for about 2.5 months. Running everything full in the bus, from the refrigerator to the gas stove and the water heater. And this is about $50 to fill up, and it lasts us for 2 months, which is huge. So this is a question that's asked to us a lot, is the motorcycle deck. Why the motorcycle? So we extended the bumper 3 feet and we added a dual sport motorcycle on it. So I can ride and Kristen can ride, and it's just another form of transportation that we can use if we need to go get groceries, or for example, I had to fly out of Halifax Airport in Canada, and I loaded all my camera gear on this, left Kristen off grid for a week, and I flew to the airport, came back, loaded it up on the bus, and then we were out to the next spot. So it's really convenient to not move the bus all over the place, and I mean, why not? It's a fun thing to have on the bus. It was actually like the first thing I think we did on the bus before we even built out the inside. It's an aluminum deck. It's 10 feet by 8 feet. And this is kind of something we just wanted to add. It's a little different than some of the other decks out there, but it's somewhere where you can hang out, get an awesome view. I've got a little golfing pad so you can hit golf balls. Kristen does yoga up here. You know, you just can't beat it, and it's a cool look to the bus as well. We also have a toolie up here because we are a family, so actually most of the stuff in here is like roams, like water stuff and, you know, things to hang out with. But yeah, it's been a great add-on to the bus, and I highly recommend everybody to add a deck to their bus. Now on our bus, these are the 500 watts of solar that we have up front, and then we also have the Dometic air conditioning that we don't use all the time because we try to follow the 70 degrees and sunny. I mean, who doesn't want to go there? But when we do need to use it, it is there, and that's our bus. All right, thank you guys for coming to check out our bus. We really appreciate you guys stopping by. Rome is very happy that you guys came by too.
If you have any questions about being a family or living tiny or downsizing, you can come find us at #1bus on YouTube and Instagram. And feel free to message us. We love answering questions, helping you, and inspiring you to follow your dreams. And if one of your dreams is to live on a bus, we got lots of information about that.
Get out and do it.
So I just want to thank Kristen, Rome, Rush, and Will for having me over and sharing with all of you the information about how they live on a road as a family in a tiny home school bus. So if you guys are interested in asking them any questions, make sure you contact them at #1bus. And if you're interested in more content about school buses, traveling alternatively, and my travels, make sure you subscribe to Navigation Nowhere. But until then, I'll see you next time.